I don't remember when comparisons started. I just remember that they never stopped. It was never one big moment. No single sentence that shattered everything. It was small things, everyday things, the kind people don't even realize they're saying. Why can't you be more like him? Your cousin is already doing better. Look at your brother. See how focused he is? They weren't yelling. They weren't angry. That's what made it worse. Because when something is said calmly, you assume it must be true. I grew up measuring myself against people I didn't choose. People who didn't even know they were being used as a mirror. At school, it continued. Grades, sports, behavior, someone was always ahead of me. And someone was always reminding me. I learned early that I wasn't being seen for who I was. I was being evaluated, ranked, adjusted. If I did well, it wasn't enough, because someone else did better. If I failed, it wasn't just a mistake, it was proof that I was falling behind. The worst part wasn't the comparison itself, it was what it did to my thinking. I stopped asking myself what I wanted. I started asking what would finally be enough to stop the comments, enough to stop the looks, enough to stop feeling like a disappointment. I became obsessed with catching up, but I didn't know who I was racing. At home, success was never just success. It was relative. A good grade became a question. Why not higher? A win became a reminder. He wins more often. There was always a next level, and I was always one step behind it. I started feeling like I was constantly auditioning for approval, for pride, for silence. Silence became the goal, because silence meant no comparison. At school, I became competitive, not in a healthy way. I didn't want to improve. I wanted to beat someone. And when I couldn't, I felt useless. I watched other boys confidently talk about their plans, their futures, their talents. I didn't feel allowed to have dreams. Dreams felt risky, because if I failed, there would be someone to point to. See, he made it. You didn't. Over time, I stopped trying new things. Trying meant risking comparison. I stuck to what I was already okay at. Not great, just acceptable, because being average felt safer than failing publicly. Inside, though, something ugly was growing. Resentment. I resented the people I was compared to, even though they did nothing wrong. I resented myself even more, for never being enough. Comparison slowly stripped my identity. I didn't know what I liked. I only knew what I wasn't good enough at. I became anxious around achievement. Awards made me nervous. Praise felt temporary, because it always came with a but. But your brother, but your friend, but someone else. Eventually, I stopped celebrating wins. I expected them to be taken away. At school, teachers described me as capable, but unmotivated. They didn't see the exhaustion. Trying to prove yourself every day is exhausting. I felt like I was living someone else's expectations, wearing someone else's standards, and no matter how hard I tried, they never fit. I started questioning my worth, not loudly, quietly. Am I actually bad at everything? Or am I just standing next to the wrong people? But I never asked that out loud, because questioning comparisons felt like weakness. So I internalized them, turned them inward. Every mistake became confirmation. Every success felt stolen. I couldn't enjoy progress, because progress was never the point. Comparison was. The scariest realization came later. I wasn't afraid of failing. I was afraid of being measured against people who weren't me, against lives I wasn't living, against paths I didn't choose. That's when I understood something. Comparison didn't push me forward. It trapped me. It made me smaller, more careful, less curious. I didn't become ambitious. I became afraid. I'm telling this story because comparison is invisible. It hides behind motivation, behind wanting the best. But for a child, constant comparison sends one message. You are never enough as you are. And that message stays, long after the voices stop. Even now, I struggle to trust my own progress. I still hear comparisons in my head, even when no one says them anymore. I'm learning something new now, slowly. I'm learning that growth isn't a race, and identity isn't a ranking. But unlearning comparison takes longer than learning it.
When we listen to this student's story, what stands out isn't failure. It's erosion. Comparison rarely destroys a child all at once. It wears them down. In many families and schools, comparison is normalized. It's framed as motivation, as encouragement. But psychologically, repeated comparison creates conditional worth. The child learns, I matter only in relation to others. This shifts focus away from growth and toward performance. Instead of asking, who am I becoming? The student asks, where do I rank? Over time, this produces anxiety, avoidance, and identity confusion. The student in this story didn't lack ability. He lacked safety. Safety to explore. Safety to fail. Safety to be himself. Comparison removes that safety. It turns development into judgment. When children are constantly measured against siblings or peers, they internalize inadequacy, even when they succeed. This leads to fear of failure, difficulty enjoying achievements, chronic self-doubt, suppressed curiosity. Importantly, comparison does not create resilience. It creates fear-based motivation. Fear-based motivation works short-term, but long-term, it leads to burnout and disengagement. The student's withdrawal wasn't laziness. It was self-protection. Avoiding comparison becomes survival. Healing begins when comparison stops being the language of worth. Children need to be seen in context, in individuality, in effort, not outcome. For caregivers and educators, this story is a reminder. Encouragement should not come at the cost of identity. And for students who recognize themselves here, you were never behind. You were just running someone else's race. Reclaiming identity means learning to ask a new question. What matters to me? And allowing the answer to be enough.